Hey guys, so today we're cooking a roasted garlic red pepper jerk chicken. I'm going to be roasting a whole chicken and I'll be pairing it with a creamy roasted garlic red pepper sauce that's so delicious. And also I'll be making some sides to go along with the chicken. I'll be making some yellow basmati rice, some Fry cabbage mixed with peas and carrots, and also some roast corn. So let's get started. Okay, so I'm gonna start by roasting the garlic first. So I have about 6 cloves of garlic here, still intact, and all I did was cut off the top piece of the garlic, all right, to have it open as you see here. And I drizzle some olive oil on top of the garlic. Then I'm gonna sprinkle on some salt and some freshly ground black pepper. Coat the garlic with that. Do not peel the garlic, leave it as is, and then wrap it in some foil paper. And I preheated my oven to 425 degrees, and I'm gonna roast the garlic for about 30 minutes until it's perfectly roasted and softened. Okay, so next I'm also gonna roast my red pepper. So I have one whole red pepper and I'm roasting it on my stove top. You could also just roast it in the oven with the garlic if that is easier for you, okay? But if you're doing it on the stove top, you're just gonna use a tongue to help you rotate the red pepper so that it can form nice charred marks all over it and be perfectly roasted. So once it has these nice dark charred marks on it, then it's ready. Okay, so once the pepper is finished roasting, I set it aside and I let it cool down a little bit. Then I'm just taking my knife and I'm going to slice the red pepper to open it, and I'm going to remove the seeds and all of that inside membranes and all of that and throw it out. Okay, so next I'm going to take the red pepper and I'm placing it into my NutriBullet. You can use a NutriBullet or your blender, because we're going to blend it up to make the marinade for the chicken. So once the garlic is finished roasting, let it cool because it will be too hot to handle, okay? And then we're going to remove the peel, and the peel should be easy to come out now that it's roasted. It should just like, you should be able to just squeeze it out, and I'm going to place that in with my roasted red peppers. Okay, so place the cloves of garlic in there, and then I'm adding some seasonings in there as well. So I added some garlic powder, onion powder, some salt, black pepper, a little bit of paprika. So next I'm adding in some jerk seasoning, and I'm also going to add a little bit of olive oil. That's going to help the marinade blend perfectly and become nice and smooth. Okay, and that's just what I'm gonna do next. I'm gonna blend the peppers and everything together until it's nice and creamy and smooth, and that'll be the marinade for the chicken. So I'm gonna take that, and in this bowl I have some melted butter. So you want to get some melted butter, and I'm gonna add the blended marinade into the bowl with the butter. So don't forget to check the description box down below. I'll list the measurements for everything I'm using in the description box. Okay, what I'm gonna do next is just blend the marinade and the butter together until it's well combined. Alright guys, so here's my whole chicken, and I'm just gonna clean it up. I'm removing anything in the middle of the chicken, and also around the opening of the chicken I'm removing any extra fat, any feathers, any yellow stuff, all of that. I'm removing it, and then I'm gonna wash the chicken really well using some lime and cold water. So once I'm finished washing the chicken, I'm gonna use clean paper towels and I'm gonna pat dry the chicken all over to remove the extra water on it. Alright guys, so you could use gloves for this part if you prefer. Alright, and all I'm doing first is loosening the skin of the chicken so that I'll be able to rub beneath the skin with that marinade we just made. Alright, because you want to season the chicken really well, because this is where the flavor comes in. So loosen the skin, and then you're going to use the roasted red pepper garlic marinade with jerk seasoning in it, and you're going to rub the chicken down really well beneath the skin, on top of the skin, all over. Get every corner, every crease, all over. Shove that seasoning into the chicken really well, all right? Because you want the chicken, you want every bite of your chicken to taste good. And once you've done that, you're going to cover the chicken and place it into the refrigerator. Let it marinate for at least 1 hour so that the chicken can absorb that flavor from the marinade, okay? Once it's finished marinating, you're going to preheat the oven to 425 degrees and spray your baking dish with some non-stick cooking spray to prevent the chicken from sticking in the dish, okay? And then you're going to place the chicken in the baking dish. If there's any marinade left over in that bowl, pour it on top of the chicken. Then you want to cover the chicken really well, you guys. So use some aluminum foil and cover the chicken and place it into the oven to bake. So at 425 degrees, and I let my chicken bake for about 2 hours, sometimes 2 hours and a half, covered, okay? Make sure it's covered. If you don't cover it, it's gonna burn and you won't have perfectly baked chickens. So make sure you cover it for the first 2 hours to 2 hours and a half of cooking. Now after 2 hours have passed, I'll remove it and I'll show it to you guys, okay? Okay guys, so while the chicken is cooking, we're gonna make the delicious sauce that I paired with it. Alright, so what I did was I'm gonna reserve about half a cup of that marinade we used to season the chicken. So before you season the chicken, reserve half cup of the marinade, and I'm placing that back into my NutriBullet, and to it I'm adding in a few tablespoons of sour cream, a few tablespoons of mayo. I'm also going to add a bunch of cilantro, about a tablespoon to 2 tablespoons of the cilantro. Next I'm adding in some olive oil. Then I'm going to blend up that sauce until it's nice and creamy and smooth. And once the sauce is finished blending, you want to taste it, make sure it tastes delicious, make sure the seasonings is right, see if you need to add some more salt or black pepper, but I didn't add any in mine because we already added that to the marinade, okay? But taste and adjust the seasonings as needed. Then you're going to pour that into a bowl once it's delicious and cover it and refrigerate it until we're ready to serve the chicken. This sauce is so delicious. Like, you could taste some of the roasted garlic flavor and the roasted red pepper. Then you get a little spice from the jerk seasoning, and it's creamy. It's so good. It pairs well with the chicken. Amazing. So let's make some yellow basmati rice. You could use regular white rice as well, okay? So in my pot, over medium-high heat, I'm adding a little bit of oil to coat the bottom of the pot. And then I'm going to add some green seasoning. Then I'm adding some beef bouillon powder. Usually I use chicken bouillon powder, but I ran out, so I'm going to use the beef today. Either one works perfectly for this rice recipe, okay? Next I'm adding in the rice and some Sazon, and I'm gonna mix everything together until it's well combined. Let the rice toast a little bit and coat with the oil in the pot and mix with the seasonings, okay? Next I'm gonna season the rice up a little bit with some salt, a little bit of salt, and some black pepper. Sometimes what I like to do is add the water first, then mix it really well, and then I'll taste the liquid in the pot and see if I need salt, because you don't want to over salt your rice, okay? And the beef bouillon powder and Sazon have salt in it, so just be careful and mindful of that. And yeah, I'm gonna add my water. So I'm adding the water, and here I'm showing you guys, whatever you use to measure the rice, use that to measure the liquid. You want to do for every 1 part of rice, 2 parts liquid, and you'll have perfectly cooked rice all the time, okay? So once you have that done packed, then you can adjust the liquid and maybe use a little bit less. All right, so add the liquid, give the pot a good stir, then we're going to cover it over high heat, let it come to a boil. So once the pot starts to boil, I'm going to uncover it, give it one last stir, and then I'm going to turn the heat down to the lowest setting on my stove. Next, I like to take a piece of foil paper, cover the pot, then I put my pot cover over it and cover the pot really tightly, okay? And you're gonna let the rice do its thing and cook for about 25 minutes or so until it's perfectly cooked and all the liquid is absorbed. And voila, that's it for my rice, you guys. It'll come out delicious. All right, okay, now let's make our stir fry cabbage mixed with peas and carrots. Yummy, yum, yum. All right, so I'm slicing up my cabbage. I'm roughly slicing it up, and then I got my frying pan over medium heat. I'm gonna add a little bit of oil just to coat the bottom of my pan. Once the oil gets nice and hot, I'm gonna add in the cabbage. I'm also adding in the peas and carrots. I'm using frozen peas and carrots. I just rinsed it out and remove the liquid, and I'm gonna add it in with the cabbage, then season it up a little bit with salt, freshly ground black pepper, and some garlic powder. Mix that really well into the veggies, and then I let the veggies do its thing and cook for about 3 to 4 minutes until it was tender the way I wanted it to be. So if you want the cabbage and the veggies extra tender, then you will leave it a little bit longer for about 5 minutes or so. If you want the veggies to still have a nice crisp bite to it, then you would leave it for 3 to 4 minutes or so, okay? And once your veggies is cooked the way you like it, perfectly seasoned, you can turn off the stove, and that is it for our stir fry cabbage. So I'm just placing my cabbage in a serving bowl and I'm setting it aside. And now you guys, let's make some roast corn. This reminds me so much of growing up back home. Roast corn on the coal pot, like this was my childhood right here. I haven't made roast corn like by myself in a long while, so I was so excited to do it today. And the easiest way for me to get the roast corn I'm looking for, you know, perfectly charred and all of that, like true roast corn back home in the Caribbean, the closest I've had is by doing it this way. So I turn my stovetop on a high heat and I place it on top of the stove, and I use my tongs to help rotate the corn, let it toast and get those nice charred marks all over. And after about 10 minutes or so, you guys, I have perfectly roasted corn done. Perfect side for this meal. So good. So after 2 hours, here's the chicken. I removed the foil paper from on top of it, and I'm just using my turkey baster and I'm basting it with the sauce in the baking dish. Okay, so baste the top of the chicken all over with that sauce. Then I'm gonna place the chicken back into the oven to finish cooking, because it's not done cooking yet. It's almost there. We're almost done, you guys, but we need the top of the chicken to get nice and brown and just delicious looking. Okay, so after you baste it with that sauce, you're going to place it back into the oven at the same temperature, 425 degrees, and let it cook for about 30 minutes more to 1 hour. So after I put it back in the oven, I basted it 1 to 2 more times with that sauce while it was cooking, alright, just to keep my chicken nicely glazed on top and get that nice brown color all over. Okay, so after 2.5 to 3 hours of cooking, my chicken was perfectly cooked, tender, and falling off the bone. So delicious. Like, I let it cool after it was finished cooking for about 20 minutes or so. Let it cool, let the juices rest and all of that. And then look, you guys, I could just pull piece of my chicken and it's literally gonna fall off the bone and fall apart. So a tip I could give you guys for roasting your chicken and having it fall off the bone like this is to cover it for most of the cooking. Okay, that's the first thing. You want to cover it for at least 2 hours of the cooking. Then for the last half hour to hour of cooking, you can remove the cover and let the top get that nice brown color. But make sure you cook the chicken, like don't half cook it and it will be falling off the bone. But to prevent it from burning, because you know, roasting a whole chicken, it takes a while. To prevent it from burning, you want to cover it for majority of the cooking process. All right, if not, the chicken is going to turn black on you, and we don't want that. All right, you guys, so once the chicken is finished, you can cut it up, carve up your chicken, and plate everything. Plate all the sides, the yellow rice, the stuffed fried cabbage with mixed veggies, some roasted corn. You can even fry up some plantains, the chicken, the main star of the dish, and that delicious roasted garlic red pepper sauce to go with it. So yeah, that is it for this recipe, you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the tutorial. Don't forget to let me know how it turns out. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel so you can see my upcoming videos. Thank you guys so much for supporting me, and I will see y'all next time. Bye guys.